Hi, I'm Dylan Goffney, and I will be talking about the decriminalization of marijuana. And it's a topic that's you may not be impacted by. Some may not. And but it has impacted millions across the country, especially college students. I'll be proposing the Marijuana Reform Act, which will decriminalize marijuana and the possession and the use of marijuana in the city of Fort Collins, and will give the students here at CSU who are stressing or have test anxiety a remedy to use marijuana to relieve stress and also to help with that test anxiety as well. And then for me, in my experience with marijuana, or how marijuana has helped a family member of mine, is maybe like 2-3 years ago, I had a brother who was really good at school for as long as I know him, since grade school, high school, was straight A student, never stressed out, then got to college. Was still a good student, but as time went on, college got harder, which is normal, and he got stressed out about his academic scholarship and was just really worried about if he didn't maintain the good grades, then he wouldn't be at school anymore or have a scholarship. And then so he started using a little bit of marijuana to help soothe his anxiety and stress. And then one day he was in his car while he was possessing it, and a campus police officer came by because they were cracking down on drug use on campus at the time, and kind of just caught him, busted him. And so he got caught. He was worried about, not only was he still more stressed about scholarship and schoolwork, and his academic standing with the university was also on the line. But since he was a first-time offender, he kind of got let off with a warning, and it kind of opened his eyes, but also opened my eyes as well, because I know there are a lot of students out there who are also stressed out, who have test anxiety, who go through things every day, go to speeches, anxiety, sweating, and stuff like that. So I came up with this reform, and it made me think about the students here at CSU and the people in our class. The plan is to start in Fort Collins to help the stressed out students at CSU with the ideal outcome of the policy that would give the ideal policy of spreading it in the United States and giving students the access to use marijuana to help with their stress and anxiety. The need for change is because it needs to be a way for students to, besides going to hang out with friends, but also if they don't have friends, just to relieve the stress and anxiety as well. And without having to worry of being caught by campus police like my brother was, and having to worry about if they are on scholarship, worrying about that, as well as getting in trouble with the school. And the key factors obviously have been stress and anxiety, and that 45% of college students are experiencing above average levels of stress every day when it comes to being a student in college, and then 8 out of 10 college students experience frequent anxiety when it comes to taking tests, talking in front of crowds of people in class, or just going to class in general. The Marijuana Reform Act proposes to decriminalize the possession and use of marijuana, meaning college students or people at the age of 18 will be able to use marijuana to help at a certain amount to help them with stress and anxiety. And it will start at City Council. They will work with legal experts and community leaders to draft the policy proposal that goes with state and local needs, and then it will be passed on to the mayor for signature. For Fort Collins, there's a one-time implementation and expungement cost, which will range from around $300,000 to $400,000, with a going-on cost from $200K to $300K every year. The total time will go into effect would be about 8 to 13 months. After being approved, which will be signed by the mayor, that can take about a month. Well, drafting phase is 2 to 3 months, and then once it's signed by the mayor, that will take about a month. And then another 3 to 6 months for the implications, like framework and licensing that people and companies will have to get with the policy permit. And then at the end, the policy is supposed to be permanent, so it's not supposed to go away after a certain amount of time. And then there will be a policy review every 2 to 5 years. And then the police and community members will enforce the law or the policy to make sure everything's running smoothly, people aren't doing the wrong thing, or the marijuana isn't getting in the wrong hands. And then with my policy, it will be a step towards helping students with stress and anxiety be able to relieve some of it and just being able to go back to themselves, feel like a normal student, or say a student was a high achieving student, they can go back to being who they were. A counter argument would be that if there's overusage of marijuana, it could affect the student's health, or it could affect how much the student wants to work. It can make them lazy and stuff like that, and it also can affect their memory and cognitive abilities. Even though those are some pretty serious counter arguments, the benefits do outweigh them. With just when students, I feel like when they're not stressed out or they're not having to worry about anxiety, I feel like they can be their best self and be their best student. And then as we close our discussion, it's important to focus on the key terms of marijuana usage and how it can help students. The plan, which is to help college students and their stress surrounding the school with the remedy of marijuana. And then practicality is that it lies to help the students at the end of the day. And then let's look back at this as a positive step towards helping students across the country. Then I have 3 questions for y'all. Ready? Okay. And then what are the challenges of implementing the policy? What are the challenges of implementing this type of policy?
Well, I think it would be difficult to do this if you're looking to do it outside of Colorado, since marijuana is illegal in a lot of places. But if you're talking about just here, it probably would be a little bit easier. But like you said, there was a lot of other barriers you would have to cross. But because you are in Colorado, there probably could be.
I feel like that's why we're starting in Colorado, and like such a small area like Fort Collins, since it's already kind of legalized in Colorado. You start small, and then you see how it works in a place that's already legalized, and then you expand more. And then next question is, how do you think this will help or hurt the perception of marijuana again?
I think it could help the perception of marijuana, just because if people are having positive experiences with it and that they're improving their quality of life, that'll make more people in favor of it. But I think if it's proven to not really help, and there's no facts behind it, then that could probably ruin the perception of it.
And then last question is, what safeguards should be in place just to either stop marijuana getting in the wrong hands, or just in general, just rules that should be in place to make sure bad things don't happen?
I don't know how you would make this a rule, but you would definitely need to find a way to make sure that students aren't overusing it, because if you smoke marijuana all the time and you're high all the time, you can get numb to a lot of things.
Right.
And if you're overusing it, it can definitely have negative effects in the long run. Like you said, cognitive development as well. So I think just trying to come up with a way, maybe you have a class that's mandatory for everyone to take about marijuana usage, and if you're smoking, something like that, like a preventative class that's mandatory if you're going to let it be allowed.
And thank you.
First take, like I said, because I'm the best.
And you made it on time.
Very best.